Have you ever thought why some of your friends will never switch from an iPhone? Is it a marketing power, addiction to ecosystem, or just the product itself is really that great? But actually, the main hidden power that Apple uses to keep their existing customers and bring new ones is iOS. Yeah, you heard me right. That's why today we'll get deep into why iOS is so special, what features make iOS unique and fluid, and what tech Apple uses to hook millions of people. This Naivety Media, let's go! Let's start with icons. At first, they seem like a normal rounded squares, nothing special, right? But Apple actually did something impressive here. Apple's icons are mathematically calculated, which are called superellipse. Superellipse is a closed curve resembling the ellipse, which is calculated from this formula. The equation creates a closed curve being restricted by a rectangle, so changing the value of n will change the angle of a curve. So in order to get an Apple icon, we need to implement this exact formula. But why exactly superellipses? Every time you see a square with rounded corners in the web or anywhere else, your eye gets stuck at the point where edge and the corner of a shape meets. Even this small detail was a no-no for Apple. That's why superellipse solved that design problem. It creates a smaller curve for the icon, which provides a better display for your eyes. And as a matter of fact, superellipse is also widely used for every rounded figure on iOS, such as widgets, icons on settings, menus on App Store, and many more, which essentially creates a perfect design infrastructure and overall consistency. Since we broke down the look features of iOS, let's take a look at what elevates the experience. One of the main features of iOS is stability and smoothness. As Apple developers call iOS, it's an extension of your mind. Let's start with interaction. So most of the operating system use linear interaction, which goes like this. You think of an action, you perform it, and then the system responds to it. Sounds about right, yeah? Let's check this out. The main problem of that solution is losing time that separates action and result, so you can't really change your mind about an action. Since you started the action, you must wait until it's done. The other problem is that linear solutions actually conflict with our brain, because our brain doesn't think like that. Our mind and bodies are constantly in the state of dynamic change. That's why Apple came up with a parallel user interaction. So instead of linear, it works in parallel with user thoughts. When you open an app, at the mean time of animation, you can change your decision and close the app with the swipe up gesture. In other words, we start making a gesture and then we choose how we can end it, which goes against the linear interaction principles. The iOS already knows every possibility of your action before you even do it, so the system feels fluid and natural. That's why Apple uses parallel user interaction, because it makes the most sense to align user experience to the way we think and the way we move. Animation. Basically, when we scroll around the interface, open apps or do anything else, we get a graphical animation as a response to it. Moreover, not only does it show the animation, but actually amplifies it. Specifically, every time you scroll, the system analyzes the position, the velocity, speed, and force, and according to those results, it responds uniquely and expands the feeling of a finished action. The other thing that really impresses is that every animation has a different weight between the apps, menus, etc. and etc. And lastly, the smoothness of motion itself. As you can see on the video, the circles represent the way motion works. Circles are going up and down at the same speed, and the left one doesn't seem smooth because it doesn't use anything to reduce strobing. The middle one uses motion blur to prevent strobing, and the motion stretching stretches the motion in each frame to provide an elastic look as it moves with velocity. For example, in iOS, let's see how the animation looks in slow motion. As you can see, in left and right scrolling, iOS uses a motion blur to soften the animation, so without it, it will look too radical and harsh for your eyes. Therefore, Apple uses that motion technology for a better visual and user experience. With all features taken into consideration, Apple is really trying to establish a connection between the user and the operating system on a conscious level. iOS has been developed significantly, providing not only a near-to-perfection look, but actually valuable technologies that elevate the experience and desire to use iOS.